Hello. Still a little bit early, but thought I'd kind of hop in and say hello to you guys while we're waiting for it to hit 12 o'clock. On my clock, on my end, I still have about like 3 minutes, so excuse me. I feel like whenever I wake up, my throat is a little bit, croaky. But if any of you guys have any like drawing recommendations, feel free to throw some out there. See if I know what it is that you refer to, and then we'll try to draw it, or I'll try to draw it. If not, I'm just gonna wing something. Elf. Oh my gosh, you read my mind a little bit. I actually have a Wicked like pulled up in front of me, and I was gonna draw. I was gonna draw that actually. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna go watch the movie tonight. I haven't watched it yet. Me and my friend, we like went to go rewatch the first one last night, just to kind of recap, because I was like, I don't really remember what happened in the first movie, or at least I feel like I needed a little bit of a recap as to what happened. So, yeah, here, we'll draw Elphaba in like good old, I don't know, chibi fashion. Also, what happened to her glasses? I kind of missed the the like weird glasses that she has in like the very beginning of the movie. But I don't know. What is she's kind of pouty. I don't know. And what does she have? She has like the big swooping hair. The theme fits. I'm not like I think the movie it's a good holiday movie. It's got good vibes. It's like a fun musical to watch if you enjoy musicals. Um but and like the sets and the props are really really good. Everything is just so over the top and fantastical. So sometimes it takes me a little bit to get into the vibe. Let's give her a big hat. I don't know. Feel like it could be slightly bigger, but it's okay. No spoilers. Oh yeah, for sure. Yes. I also have not watched this, so no spoilers either. I don't know anything that's gonna happen. Like I've not read the books, and I've never watched the musical either, so I have no idea what's going to happen in the movie. So I'm excited to watch it tonight. See how it all unfolds and everything. I also won't share any like not spoilers, but like reviews. So I don't know about you guys. I love watching movie reviews, and but sometimes I feel like reviews, it can skew your like take on a movie before you even watch it. So I'm not gonna share like what I've read. Like, did it get good reviews? Did it get bad reviews? And whatnot. But yeah, I okay. I know she doesn't have glasses, but I felt like the glasses, she had like really cool glasses on in the beginning of the movie when she's like a kid in the part one, and then like those glasses kind of go away. And I'm like, I kind of like those glasses. Why can't we bring those glasses back? So here, I guess little. I don't know. Is this how you draw chibi? Is this how chibi works, guys? I don't draw chibi. I do not know if this is how it's done. Is this the way of chibi? But in those days, you and those glasses. Hey, I like the glasses. I think she should bring them back. Oh, did it? Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, the trailers do show up a lot too. Yeah. I mean, trailers tend to show a lot as well, yeah. Alright, cool. Well, it's 12:02. I guess we'll get started. Hello everybody, and welcome to our stream. I know that right now there's like a drawing of like a witch on my stream and on my screen right now, but don't worry, we're not going to be drawing any kind of witch type character, although, you know, that might be kind of neat. I don't know, we'll probably not, but who knows? You never know what might happen. But yeah, welcome to our Monday stream. My name is Josh. And if this is your first time joining our stream, welcome, and I'm glad you're able to join us. I'm one of the instructors over here at Wing Canvas. I teach both drawing and painting as well as animation. And if you don't know who we are at Wing Canvas, our mission is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So join us for free live stream lessons on YouTube every week and level up your skills with a community of art nerds. And if you guys didn't already know, we stream every week on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern and Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern. So if you're hopping on and you're like, wait, aren't Monday streams usually at 9 p.m.? Yeah, we switched it up a little bit, and now we're doing them at 12 p.m. to, I don't know, hopefully make it a little bit easier for those of us on the other side of the globe. But yeah, glad you guys are able to join us for those who are maybe on the Europe or Asia side of things. And we're more than just a YouTube channel. We're an online school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping artists turn their passion into income. A huge shout out to our amazing students and members for supporting our mission. We love seeing your incredible artwork and watching you guys grow in our classes and weekly critiques. And if you'd like to dive deeper, join our Discord to access stream notes and demos, exclusive artwork, art challenges, and more free resources to help you improve. So come connect with your fellow art nerds and get inspired. And yeah, so as you guys could probably tell by the title of this stream, we're going to be doing backgrounds. So I'm gonna do my best to try to finish this background by the end of the stream. If we need to go longer, I guess we'll go a little bit longer. But as usual, if you guys don't know, before the stream starts, we do a little bit of a art challenge community shoutouts. So every month on our Discord, we have a monthly challenge that kind of renews and is kind of sent out to our community every month. And our community kind of just contributes and submits whatever pieces that they have or they want to make that might kind of fit the theme of our challenge. And this month was the narrative art challenge. So if you want to participate in it, definitely go into the video's description. The link to our Discord will be there. And then if you scroll down the mini channels, you'll find a channel that says Art Challenge. And you can click on that. And then you can also submit your art under the narrative art challenge prompt. So today, let's see, what do we have? We have not too many pieces because one, there weren't that too many new submissions since the last time I checked. And also I want to give myself a little bit more time for the background painting. So the first piece that is up is by Umi, the Bloody Bread Wizard. So I was like, man, this is a really nice painting here. The colors, the atmosphere, the lighting, the character poses, really well done. So really great job here, Umi. You got some really good rendering chops happening over here. But yeah, this is our first piece. So thank you, Umi, for submitting. Actually, I just realized that these two pieces that I picked out are like super highly rendered. I feel like usually I try to pick some of like different styles and of different approaches, but so far the latest pieces that I saw were like super highly rendered. So this one, the next one, is by our one and only Chi Flame, Weaver of Realms. Love to see the super crazy amount of details and lightings that you put in, Chi Flame. So this is one very steampunky, almost kind of Final Fantasy-esque, actually. I don't know if it's based or inspired by Final Fantasy, but it looks pretty cool. And then we got one that very much reminds me of, I don't know what it is. It looks nothing like Sekiro or Sekiro, but it kind of reminds me of it. It's like a little bit of Elden Ring mixed in with Sekiro or something. But yeah, awesome painting here. Really, really detailed. So much going on. So yeah, if you guys want to check out these pieces and if you want to look at them in further detail and in depth, definitely go to our Discord again. And if you go to Art Challenges, you can see all the submissions. They are there. And who knows, you might get a chance, an opportunity for us to also shout you out. So I think there's one more day left on the 29th where there's a possibility that we'll give you a shout out if you submit your pieces in the Art Challenge section. But yeah, so that's kind of it for our art challenge. Again, thank you Chief Flame, and thank you Umi for submitting. These are great pieces, and also thank you everybody else for submitting as well. And if you didn't get a chance or you didn't get a shout out on our stream, no worries. We still always love looking through your art challenge submissions and seeing all the kind of interactivity that's happening on our Discord. So yeah, if you guys want to join that, it's a great community. So definitely check us out there. Okay, so today, maybe I should type this out. Let's just type it out. Today we are doing backgrounds. So let me find. We're doing stylized background with character, of course. Of course, there has to be a character. With one and only me. Oh, let's make it bigger. 28. I think 28 is pretty good. Yeah. There we go. Oh, also, if you guys didn't know, or if you're not subscribed already, I definitely recommend that you subscribe to our channel. Definitely also ring the bell, the notification bell, because before we stream, we always put out a poll 2 days before the stream goes live, and we ask you guys what you would like for us to kind of draw. So today's theme was stylized backgrounds, but on top of that, the polls, we asked like, oh, what type of background do you want me to draw? And the options I think were like a desert canyon, a gas station, convenience store, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the last one was, but convenience store won out. It actually was a really, really close vote. This is the closest I think I've ever seen on the polls. Let's just see if I can pull up the poll so you guys can at least kind of see what I'm talking about here. So, whoops. So, 2 days before the stream goes up, on our post section, we always post a poll here, and my goodness, it was so close. I was like pretty sure convenience store was gonna win, but it's way closer than I thought it would be. Like, seaport and gas station were kind of slowly pulling up ahead, and I was like, oh, I already grabbed all the reference photos for convenience store, and then I was like, oh wait, nope, convenience store is still winning, so that's good. But yeah, so if you guys don't know, we always do this 2 days before the stream, or so keep your eyes out for it. And the best way to know is to obviously subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you know that you can participate on the subject matter that we do for our streams. But yeah, so if you guys have never been to part of our live streams before, we try to do a little bit of like a quick lesson. And then we try to reserve the rest of the time to painting, answering your questions, just hanging out and chilling. So, like I said at the very beginning of our live stream chat, you know, grab a snack, grab a drink, I don't know, just come relax and kind of hang out with us. It's going to be a good time. But yeah, we're going to be doing a convenience store, and I think I want to keep it pretty simple. So, this is actually kind of the approach, or not approach, but the angle that I think I want to go for. Oh, wait. What? Oh my goodness, I got a heart attack. I thought the stream blacked out for a minute. I saw just a black screen and I was like, wait, what happened? Oh my gosh. Okay, so Hopefully it didn't end. Hopefully it's still running okay. But yeah, well, I'm thinking about going for this angle, and I'm gonna run through the general kind of process whenever I do stream or whenever I try to tackle backgrounds. And also, if you're like, hey, you know, I might miss the stream, don't worry, the VOD's gonna show up. And also, we uploaded, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, we uploaded a background video. So if you want to kind of check out how I do backgrounds, we actually already did a background not too long ago, and we also uploaded a more condensed video for you guys so you can watch how I go about doing backgrounds. But usually what I like to tackle, or what I like to do when tackling backgrounds, is come up with some ideas. So conceptualization. And due to time, probably just going to come up roughly what works and kind of tweak it and fix things while we're doing the rough. Probably will not be coming up with like a bunch of different ideas. And then the next thing is we're going to do some quick block-ins. So because we don't have too much time, and I do want to get some colors going in, I think we're just gonna jump right into the colors. I don't think this piece I'm gonna focus too much on the line work. I think I'm gonna focus more on the shapes and like the colors and the tone and the mood for our piece today. And then if we have any time, we'll do some like maybe rendering, and then also maybe some minor line work. So this is if we have extra time. So this is gonna take a majority of our stream time, and I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna approach both these things a bit at a time. And like I said, this will be our kind of inspiration. Also on the side here, you guys won't be able to see it. Maybe I'll post it later on, but I actually have a pure ref file open over here where I actually have a few more reference images from or of convenience stores. So you can see it's very like head-on angle at the shelves, and it's just someone standing in front of it. And I wanted this kind of dim lighting and kind of this more glowy neon look to it. So that's the direction we're heading in for my piece. So you guys kind of know roughly how to go into it. And I do highly recommend this aspect when coming up with ideas, which is, especially for backgrounds, I think this will help a lot because lighting, coloring, subject matter, storytelling, they're all things that you can juggle and kind of play around with when it comes to illustration and character design. But I think it even more so is important for background because of the storytelling element. So I really highly recommend trying to come up with an idea. So come up with not an idea. Come up with a tone that you want to go for. A tone or mood or an atmosphere. So is it scary? Is it going to be cheerful and happy? Is it upbeat? By just already thinking about the tone that you want to go for will already help a lot when you're doing your painting, because it'll kind of already set you on a direction for the colors that you're going to pick, how you're going to be rendering things, the shape of the objects that you're doing. So if you're doing something very cutesy, then things might be like rounder. Things might be brighter. And objects might be slightly bigger. So usually we associate like friendly, cute things with like round, bright, colorful, very saturated. Whereas if I wanted to do something more scary, then the objects that I might draw in the convenience store might be like sharper. They might be more rigid, so more boxy in a way, rigid and boxy. And then maybe like duller in color. It doesn't mean you can't have saturation, but the colors are going to be maybe a little bit more toned down, like pulled in a little bit. And the lighting might be colder as well. So like you're going to use maybe a lot more like green lights, blue lights, maybe a white light. Whereas like you'll notice here the difference between the two colors or the two color schemes for these backgrounds is that this one here by N Kim, I think her name was, or their name was like Nadia Kim. you'll notice that, yeah, there's like white lighting. It kind of has that like stale, stark look that a convenience store or a grocery store might have. But there's actually a lot of warmth happening inside of the shelves themselves, and everything is very colorful. Everything is very bright and round. Whereas if you look at this photo over here, or I hope it's a photo, the lighting here is a lot more cold. It's more blue. It's more teal and turquoise. Nothing's like super bright or jumping out at you. And yeah, even though these colors are actually kind of saturated, they're not as punchy or as saturated as the colors here. So that's why coming up with a tone, mood, or atmosphere is actually super, super important, because it does set you down a path for how you want to approach your drawing and your painting. Especially if you're doing a painting, it's super, super important. Basically, all your decisions will be based on the tone and the mood you come up with. So yeah. And so I guess that's the stage that we're gonna try to work out right now. And I'm gonna bring this over. I'm gonna try to start for all my streams to work vertically so I can have the overview here. So if any of you are like feeling motion sick from all the zooming in and out, which I do a lot, you could just look mostly on the overview. I'll try to not zoom in and out too much though, so you guys can still keep an eye on things. Okay, so the first rough, actually, like before the stream started, I kind of had an idea that I wanted to go with. I wanted a guy like maybe like a teenager. He's kind of standing in front of the drink shelf. He has like a big Slurpee can in front of him, and he's standing like right here. So you can already see that like coming up with the background, it's not like come from nothing. And what's great too is that I know that on Saturday you guys had a background stream with Jesse and our special guest Kelsey, where both of them went over how to clean up your backgrounds and how to refine and enhance them a lot. And backgrounds are scary because we do consider a lot of things like the colors, the lighting and all that. But if you know the tone, then you know it's like, oh, well, I got to make things a little bit more dim. Maybe things are a little bit colder, more stale, more clean. So, yeah. So when you're doing backgrounds, come up with the story. Come up with the narrative that you want to tell, even though it's just one shot. And it doesn't have to be like the most groundbreaking, interesting story ever, but just thinking about like, oh, is it a store clerk? Is it a person visiting the convenience store? Are they like lonely? Are they by themselves? Or are they with their friends? So gonna draw a guy here. Maybe we won't make it, well, we'll see. This is where coming up with roughs is great, because you get to visualize it. Sometimes we have an idea in our head, and then we draw it out, and then we realize that the idea is terrible, and that it's not good at all. So I wanted, I don't know, a more London style kind of a person. So wearing like a tracksuit, maybe big puffy vest, and let's see, kind of the angles looking down slightly, because they're looking, I want them to be kind of looking at their phone. And then, like I said, I want him to be drinking out of like a big Slurpee kind of cup, but then one hand is like on their phone. So let's see, big, and I do want to emphasize like the big Slurpee cup, because down the road we're gonna render this like red on the cup that our guy here is gonna be drinking out of. How would you render or draw the inside of a den? Well, it depends on the shot that you want. So if it's kind of like a cave, then you probably won't be able to see too much of the inside of the cave, unfortunately. But if you're drawing from the inside, like you can see the inside of the cave, then it might be a good idea to figure out like the shape of it. Like, is it round? Is it like a tunnel? Is it cavernous? And I know that these things may sound very, very kind of obvious to us at the moment when we're kind of explaining it, but it really helps to break down and go through all the kind of ideas that you want for your kind of scenery, so that when you draw it, you're almost kind of giving yourself a very clear direction as to how to do it. Also, I don't know if it's coming back in season, like going back to the drawing here. I've been seeing a lot of people with puffy vests. Now, I know puffy vests have always kind of been in season, or like they're always like everybody loves wearing them, but I feel like I've been seeing them more and more, you know. But yeah, I just kind of want to draw like a kid drinking a Slurpee can and then maybe looking at their phone. If so, yeah, you know the whole question about like AI. I think I think new opportunities are gonna open up, not in the sense of like, oh, AI is gonna offer up new opportunities, but I think the art industry or the art world, well, this is more the optimistic side of me looking at things, is that there seems to be a bit more of like a reaction um, in the art community to start doing things themselves, to do things their own way. I think a lot of kind of the sentiment is that it's like, oh, studios, they are not, let's say, doing things for the artist or the community anymore in the sense that it was back in the day. And so I think there's a little bit of a pushback amongst kind of the art community to make something new, make things fresh. And if the studios aren't going to be doing it, then the art community is going to take up with that task. So I feel like that's the more optimistic take on my end that I'm hoping for, which is just that like more jobs are going to open up because artists are pushing for more artist driven kind of projects. So it is definitely like tricky out there. It's not I don't think it's easy. It's going to be easy, but I also don't think that it's completely all down the drain necessarily. I think there's still like opportunities and moments for artists to still kind of come together and make stuff. And I think that, yeah, over time too, I think there's becoming more and more of a pushback amongst the main audience, or like just the general public as well, that like they don't want AI in their art. Like, take a look at the reaction for the Coca-Cola commercial. Like, nobody liked that commercial. And then I don't know if I just saw this recently too, but Apple put out a new intro or like opening sequence for, I think, their shows. And they hand did that. So I think they hired some guys to cut out like glass, and then they lit it, and then they basically filmed the glass kind of rotating and moving in these like neon lighting scenarios, and they assembled it, and it made it look so clean that a lot of people thought it was like done in like on the computer, or it was like some kind of graphics that they were doing, or VFX, but it was like all practically done. Probably maybe still like composited, and they still touched it up a little bit afterwards, but a lot of it was done as practical as much as possible. So it's kind of cool that like one company, Coca-Cola, is putting all their chips on like AI generated art, and like nobody liked it. It's funny too because they like doubled down on using AI for their ads. And then you had Apple, who's like also a very, very big company, who is also very much relying on AI, but for their ads, they also started they're still using like traditional art and kind of art forms, and hiring artists and directors and artists to make their new intro. So that's kind of like really cool, I think. So for this one, what I want is kind of like this kid is standing in front of like those like drink freezers. So we're gonna put this kid like way up here maybe. So he's standing in front of like the freezer where there's a bunch of like drinks and whatnot. So this is kind of like the scenario that I'm kind of want. Also, I heard something kind of interesting that not a that I thought was kind of like a neat insight. Statistically wise, I don't know how true this is, but you'll notice, or I've been noticing that OpenAI and ChatGPT, they've been putting out a lot of ads lately, and showing like people and like how those people would use ChatGPT in their new life or in their lives. Like, oh, I want to plan a trip with my sister, so ChatGPT, come up with a plan, like a traveling plan or something. Or some guy has like but basically, I can't remember, but basically a lot of scenarios like that. And then someone pointed out is like, you'll notice that they never use like AI to generate their ads. Like it's still like they hire artists, they still film it, they still go on location. The only thing that's AI generated is the itinerary that these characters on the ads are using, is just like how to plan out dinner or how to plan out a trip. But like the ads themselves are never shot or made by AI. And someone was like, if AI is so good, or if AI is supposed to kind of like replace filmmaking and art and all that, how come they never use it for their own ads? They never use it for themselves. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat in like observation. I never picked up on that. Um, but it kind of makes me like, it makes me a little bit hopeful that people will start picking up on that as well, which is just that uh, no one really wants AI at this point, and it's not working in the way that people are expecting it to. And so because of that, and because we want a more human touch for things, um, there will be a strive or a pushback for more human created things. um, and yeah, I don't know, that's the more optimistic take on my end, where I'm kind of like, hopefully that's the case, hopefully that's the direction it's going in. But yeah, that's just my insight on it. I know that AI is still a conversation that I think can be, it's still good to discuss it. I don't think it's necessarily always useful to just immediately shut it down, because I think there's some elements or aspects of it that I think work with AI much in a much better way, like in computer games, like designing AI, like your NPC characters, making sure that they respond or can react to like a player's action in a way that sometimes all the programmers might not necessarily be able to like react to. I was thinking like, oh, you know what, like for simulated scenarios, like in video games or in movies, I think that having some kind of AI assisted system that's coded in the characters would be kind of helpful, because the more realistic and the more open games get with like the different possibilities that characters can have and how they interact with the player's judgments and movements and choices, then I think it kind of makes sense to leave that up to AI a little bit and have it be assisted. But again, I don't know like how that would work, if that technology even exists. I know that it exists to a certain degree, because if you guys didn't know, like Lord of the Rings, the very first one, it's Weta that invented kind of like the crowd system that is like randomized. So they would give like different characters different personality traits, and it's like, oh, if this character does this and collides into character B, then character A responds like this. It's like, obviously it's not the most complex thing, but I can kind of see like where AI could help with that and could kind of take over and help the system of how that would be fleshed out more. Oh, this is a good question, Cupcake Admin. Are there resources you'd recommend for the basics in art styles? Ooh, at first I just read the are there resources to recommend for basics in art, and I was like, oh, I think we have a lot of videos out there on like color theory and just drawing and all that kind of stuff. But basics in art styles. Oh, you know what? I mean, that's a good also video suggestion. I don't know. I feel like maybe we could do a video on that, or something. That's not a bad video idea suggestion though. Kevin, I don't know if you're still here. Take notes, or maybe Jaran, you can take notes. Also, hello Jaran. I didn't say hello to you. I know that you showed up here. Glad you're able to make it. Basics in art style though. Well, you know, I'll just kind of mention or address the whole art styles discussion or topic, which is just that art style is such a broad and is such a vast field for everyone to kind of think about and approach. Um, and a lot of your art style is very much going to be dependent on where you got inspired by. I know that that sounds very kind of like, what? Like, what do you mean what I was inspired by? So like if you love cartoons, then like, oh, maybe you love to draw in a more cartoony shape. So what I would recommend always is like learn the basics first. This was actually something that kind of popped up in one of our um what is it? Members live chats with our where I was giving critiques to our members. I think this is where I mentioned it, but how you draw is very much going to be based on your inspiration, and that kind of also helps determine your art style as well. So kind of pay attention if you've noticed that you pay attention a lot or you like a certain style or look from something. What I always recommend is to start paying attention more closely to how your favorite artists are drawing. Do they use round shapes? Do they use sharper shapes? How do they draw eyes? How do they approach drawing the pupil and the iris? There's anime. I feel like gets kind of grouped in as like one big subject or like one big style. But if you pay attention to like different studios, you'll notice that they draw eyes differently, they approach hair differently. And so by just paying attention to the minutia and like the tiny little subtleties that different studios have, or how different artists approach things, you'll notice that everybody does things slightly a little bit differently and start paying attention to like those art qualities. But that's why you need to know the art fundamentals and the basics. And it's because if you don't pay attention to those kind of small details, or if you don't know the fundamentals, it's hard to really spot those details in the stuff you're inspired by. But also, thank you, Big Snake Boss. Wow. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, thank you for the $5. We really, really appreciate. So yeah, everybody, or I don't know, but yeah, I sometimes see streamers go like, everybody thank the guy who just donated, but you know, you guys don't have to do that. But thank you, Big Snake Boss. Really appreciate it. Glad you're able to that you love the stuff that we're doing here, and you want to give us some support here. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Let's see. What? Let's see. Honestly, I missed out on some questions. I honestly think one of the biggest dangers of AI at the moment as a new technology is that because it's new, it's super unregulated. Yeah. No, for sure. Like AI feels like the Wild West at this point. It's kind of like the gold rush in a sense, whereas like everybody is rushing towards it, trying to capitalize on it first before it becomes just the norm. And whoever capitalizes and is able to make the most use of it first is the one that's going to basically implement it in whatever it is in our daily lives, in all the systems that we have. So it is unfortunate because then all the big companies are doing that. But yeah, it definitely feels very like scary. Not scary, but it's very like what's gonna happen. It's kind of like all up in the air feeling. And then I appreciate your talk towards the question and not shutting it down. Oh yeah, no problem. From Malaysia here, only higher mid to senior and junior have almost no chance to compete. Really? Oh. Well, you know what? I think what's great about the internet right now too is that there are a lot of options where you can get the phrase get your feet wet or get your foot in the door, so to speak. And I think part of that is like there's a lot of jobs online now that don't necessarily require you to be a part of a studio. Yes, if you want to aim for a studio job, I think you can definitely still aim for it. I think the ceiling, the bar has definitely been raised a lot higher because of the accessibility of learning art and being able to draw, and you're going to be competing with a lot of people. But I think what's great about that too is that, and also because of AI, a lot more different types of art venues and careers and approaches have opened up a little bit more. So it's not as funneled into just like, oh, I want to be a concept artist or a character artist, I gotta work for a studio. I feel like things have changed a little bit. I'm an engineer by draw a lot. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you know what's great too is that we have a lot of students that who also, I had a student who he was like in he was also like in engineering, but he like wanted to finally dabble in art, and he just wanted to do it because he always wanted to learn it. And I find that like always so like charming and so like encouraging, that like there's so many artists who kind of never learned to draw as like a kid, but then find us and we're like, hey, you know what, I have some free time as an adult, let me just check out your classes and learn some of the fundamentals. Kevin, everybody say thank you, you must say thank you. uh the early 2000s, when the computer picks out the clothes. I feel like even to that extent, I'm like, I kind of want to pick out my own clothes, you know? I feel like, you know, just take life slower, you know? It's no need to rush. I feel like everybody's in the rush to do something. Like driving even. Everybody's in such a rush to drive out so quickly. Or like to drive quickly. I'm like, where are you rushing to? Why do you need to drive so fast? Works engineering is not really about calculator or working specific knowledge. Really? Oh, I would assume that it would be very technical, but I don't know. Who knows? I'm not in construction or engineering. Managing positions, managing people, and solve problems. Oh, I see. Actually, I think I know someone who does that too. Is more on the managing side of things. I can take all day picking out something. Josh sounds too chill. Hard in deciding what to wear. Honestly, I feel like that's the case too. As like as an artist, sometimes it's just like I don't want to really worry too much about what clothes I'm wearing. I just wanna wear it. Do whatever. Okay, so I think we're gonna go for something like this. Maybe we'll put like a few. Maybe we'll put like some shelves in front actually. We'll see. These might be a little bit more blurred out. Like the chip bags. I don't know if you what your grocery stores look like, but you know how sometimes grocery stores or convenience stores, they have those like racks, but like there's snacks and chips kind of poking out from like the sides and whatever. So like maybe what I'll do is like I have like bags of chips kind of just like poking out a little bit. I feel like that gives it a little bit more life for the drawing. Yeah, and then most of this is gonna be basically the glow and the kind of the cans and the drinks and the milks or creams or whatever that's in the background. So that's why if you're like, wait, there's not really anything much going on here, it's like, oh well, it's because, you know, there's gonna put some stuff in the background afterwards. But before we do that, I am going to just quickly do a color scheme block in. Let's see, where's my brush? Here it is. So I do want that more like green glow, so let's give it, I always recommend this to students whenever we're drawing whatever it is, to give it a flat background first. Then that's because the white influences and affects the way we see lighting. Now, because this is just a quick block in, like a rough color test, I'm not going to worry too much about the red lines. The red lines, yes, they'll play maybe some influence on like how this looks, but I think it should be fine. So we're going to give it kind of like this green glow. We can maybe even make it go like brighter for some things, some like objects. And I think this is where it's going to be fun, where we can like play around with some like different colors, because packaging, there's so many different colors and packaging colors here and whatnot. So this is where we can have a little bit of fun. You know, as Anakin says, this is where the fun begins, you know. I'm sorry, so cheesy. Any chance to give a little Star Wars reference, you gotta do it. Oh, also, did you have any suggestions for coming up with a background for a character if you already had the character drawn? Wait, do you have any suggestions coming up with a background for a character if you already had the character drawn out? I think what I would have, or what I said, or in general, so this is like just a good rule of thumb, regardless, I think, is just coming up with a story. So coming up with kind of like some game plan for the tone that you want. So if you have the character already mapped out, um, and you're like trying to figure out like, oh, what background works for the character, it's kind of like taking a photo. You know, like you kind of want the outfit and the design of your character to match what the background's tone is as well. Um, so I guess that's kind of my advice is like look at the tone of your character. How are they dressed? How are they posed? What is the characteristics or personality traits of the character? And does the background help bolster or boost that kind of personality traits that you see in your character? Do they match one another? And obviously sometimes you can kind of be cheeky and have some fun by doing opposites as well. So you have like let's say a rock metal grunge person with a bunch of leather on, and there's chains and there's spikes and the hair is all spiked up, but they're inside of like a perfume store. Like you could do something where it's so drastic and contrasting that it still works. But I think considering the tone and the quote unquote genre of your character can also help you figure out your background. Can you introduce this character? Jiaran's gonna hunt you down now. The person who did the 1% who said yes to AI. Jiaran will now hunt you down. He's like, who said that? I'm gonna look for you now. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh, can I introduce this character? You know, it's just a regular old Londoner who's kind of trying to he just wants a Slurpee drink, you know, and he found the Slurpee drink. And now he's just texting his friends, and you know, your good old kind of high school Londoner who wears Adidas track pants, wears the North Face kind of style of the puffy jacket. You know how it is. I feel like that's a pretty stereotypical London UK outfit getup. And contrast too. So I'm gonna play around a lot with the contrast of this image. I got my I got my eyes on you. Yeah, yeah. Who said yes to AI? Who said it? I better not find you. Just kidding. We're just kidding. We're just having fun. We're goofing. Don't worry. Jiaran will not hunt you down. For sure. Definitely gonna have to fade these a little bit, make them a little bit fuzzy and soft. So if you guys never tried or never drawn like kind of these shelves before, anything kind of like out of focus, a big key to it is to not have it be too sharp. So if you have things too sharp in terms of the saturation, the clarity of the objects if they're supposed to be out of focus, it's going to be very, very like, it's too contrasting. Actually, you can see it in this drawing here. Whoops. By Nadia, him here. You'll notice that the things that are in focus are very sharp and clean, whereas the stuff that's out of focus is a little bit blurry, is a little bit fuzzy. So like the sharpness isn't quite there. And then let's give out a very quick 1-point perspective tiles. Nothing fancy. Just gonna draw some tiles here. Just to plan it out, let's see if the coloring system works. If the tone and the vibe is the way that I want it to be. But yeah, hopefully that answers some of your questions. But yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that the viewer count kind of goes up and down and kind of drops in and out. So I don't know. Might be a YouTube thing. Let me see. What is this? Wait, can you just give a quick summary of the steps so far? I just joined. Oh, well, glad you're able to join us. Yeah, we're just basically coming up with a concept and coming up with a tone. So maybe I should write this down. I realized maybe I didn't write this down for the tone that we're going for. So we're doing a convenience store. And before I started the stream on my own time, just like quickly brainstorming it off the top of my head, I knew I wanted a character. So one, I wanted kind of like a, like let's say a teen kid in hoodie, like let's say UK streetwear, UK style streetwear. I don't know why, but I'm like, you know what? That's a cool, fun vibe and style, and I love the shape of like that kind of tracksuit outfits that they wear a lot of the times. And you know what? Maybe while it's on my head, I will also color it, give him neon yellow pants, because why not? I feel like that's kind of fun. Maybe it'll be a little bit darker because, you know, he's standing behind the convenience store light, and then we can give him a little bit of a highlight, kind of rim lighting for the pants. But yeah, let's see. Let's write down. I wanted teen kids in UK style streetwear. I just think the shape is kind of cool. It's kind of nice. I knew I wanted him to stand in front of like the drinks, those drink fridges. I don't know what they're called. The you know, the fridge with all the drinks. And then I knew that I wanted it to have like a cool turquoise slash teal glow lighting to it. So, and also kind of like cold and kind of stark. So not too bright, not too colorful, but just like kind of what is it? What I'm not too dim, basically. So things are still gonna be kind of bright, and there'll still be a good amount of light to it, but it's not like glow, not like super dim, basically. But yeah. What is the concept for your concept art? All I hear in the background, Georan will not hunt you. Yeah. Let me see. Let's see. I think this is pretty much it. So this is kind of like the tone that I wanted, and like this was kind of like the tone, the third one. I think if I were to write a fourth one, let's just say the fourth one is just kind of like moody. So a lot of times I will write out and try to put down into words like how I want to describe the scenery that I'm doing. So it's like moody is one, kind of cold, like I said, kind of like isolated in a way. So that's kind of why we're framing the kid inside of like this like fridge door out like right around it. Let's see. Kids kind of just chilling. Kids just chilling. I mean, when are they not just chilling? Kids are always chilling. Yeah. So that's kind of like the tone that I think I'm kind of going for. Especially without line art. Oh, you know what? So, again, going back to kind of like style and kind of going back to what I was talking about before, if any of you guys are trying to figure out your style, a lot of it actually is not up to or down to being able to recreate the style or anything like that. It actually really is mostly about your fundamentals. So if you find that you have a hard time drawing the details or painting things out, a lot of it is mostly really just like oh, how did you or like not how did you, but like what is your fundamentals? Do you have your fundamentals like nailed down and figure it out? And the reason why is because if you have your fundamentals nailed down, you will be able to simplify things. You'll be able to kind of like observe something and understand like how do you capture the general sense of and shape of things. Um, Actually, maybe the puffer vest we can make it bigger. I feel like we, gotta make it really really big. Um, so the whole like I see a state or a kind of point here where you're like, oh, I can never paint something like this, without like the line work. And I honestly, if give me a few years, like give me like 10 years ago, I probably would be in the same spot as you. Like seeing someone paint with no line work and just laying something down seems completely out of like that's so far out there. But what I come to realize is like the best way to learn how to paint like this is to do still lifes. I know that still lifes are not always the most exciting things to learn, and I know that a lot of people tend to kind of like look at still lifes and go like, wait, what? Oh, I can never do, or I still lifes is so boring. I don't ever want to do still life paintings. But if you do still lives and you try to learn how to capture the shape and the form of an object, and try not to focus too much on the details, but paint with a really really big brush. If you're doing this digitally, grab a really big brush that doesn't let you taper too much, and it doesn't have too much of like an opacity effect or a control to it with the pressure sensitivity. Find a brush that's very like square like, so that's kind of like a brush that's like this that I'm using. It's very square in shape, so I can't taper into a thin line, and even if I try to draw lightly, it's still very very thin. um, and the reason why I say this is because if you paint with a big brush that limits the amount of detail you can put down, you're almost like always every time you are going to be forced to draw in big shapes, big brush strokes. And it'll teach you to simplify, it'll teach you to observe things in the grander scheme of things and from the larger picture. And you'll be able to do things like this where you don't need to rely on your line work. You can kind of just go at it and see what happens. But obviously, as with all things, easier said than done. But I think the more people kind of realize that still life is actually really quite important, the easier I think people will kind of pick up painting. Obviously, it'll still take some work, but yeah. Okay, so I think with that being said, we will tackle our character. So I think what I'm going to do though is I'm not going to redraw it necessarily. I'm going to just kind of, because I feel like we're heading in a pretty decent direction with this drawing here. So I'm actually just going to utilize what we have here and clean up the drawing that I have here. I'm just going to duplicate it. And we're going to take all the notes away. So sorry about that. No more notes. These notes are going to... We're going to cut these notes out. But don't worry, these notes, if you guys are interested in them, we always post them afterwards on Discord. So again, another incentivization for you guys to come join us on Discord. Here, we're gonna start off with this image right here. Just gonna use this as like the template. I might move it over a little bit because I realize that the kid is like maybe way too centered. And I always keep, harping on my students being like, hey, don't draw with things like directly smack dab in the middle. So I gotta follow my own rule here. So we're gonna do that. Let's see. Let's get a very big brush. Let's block it in with the color that I blocked it in with originally. So let's see if I can find it right there. That's pretty good. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna block out my frame. So something like that. So we have our frame for our drawing, and I'm basically gonna work with whatever I see in the rough drawing, but now I'm gonna clean it up for our final. Oh yeah, also, you know, this not me basically saying to not work with line art. You can still definitely for sure work with line art. But I do want to kind of just put out there that like when doing still lifes, especially if it's like a still life painting, I think give it a try. Practice doing a still life. You can still do the rough drawing, but then try to paint it without worrying too much about the line work. That is kind of like the goal when it comes to uh, painting. Okay, so I think what we're gonna start off with here is the kid's sweater. Let's give him like a cool. Let's go with the blue. And I think we're gonna just block it out first. Because right now I can't really see too much because the rough drawing is there. So we're just gonna block it out really quickly. And not worry too much about the details. Because this is we're doing what is it, we're doing a background painting, not a character drawing. So having it be slightly trying to figure out the skin tone to give him. We'll give him like kind of purple, pink, light. Maybe like on the blue side. Oh. Also, this is basically how I dress. One time, so a little bit more Josh lore. Not that I have a lot of lore or anything, but one time I got asked to sub for my friend for volleyball, and I came in dressed with like a big kind of like Dickies jacket, like a work jacket, like a canvas work jacket, and 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 then I had like a hoodie on, and then I had a hat on, and then when we were done playing volleyball and we're all like packing up, getting ready to go home, the guy's like, "Bro, your outfit is the celebrity disguise outfit." And I'm like, "What?" It's like you're wearing like a hat and like this like nondescript work jacket, and you're also wearing like a big baggy hoodie with like a hat on and like a baseball cap on. It's like you look like you're trying to hide from the paparazzi or something. I'm like, you know what? I never thought that's what my outfit looked like. But now that you say that, I can't unsee that I dress like I'm trying to hide from the paparazzi. But this is kind of how I dress. So for those of you who I forgot what's I don't remember if it was like a workshop or a stream. Uh, Oh, it was for a workshop. Yeah, it was for our XP Pen workshop. Um, we were doing like streetwear clothing design for a character, and somebody asked like, "Josh, is this how you dress?" And I'm like, "Nah, not really. I'm very boring and plain when I dress. But this is kind of close to how I dress actually. I this kind of I have a big puffy vest, although the vest is actually yellow. Not I have a mustard colored vest, but I don't have like I don't have a big black kind of North Face vest. Those are expensive. I don't know if anybody's ever like taken a look at vests. I don't know why are vests so expensive? They're so unnecessarily expensive. It's ridiculous. But yeah, this is my old man shouting at the sky kind of moment. Why are vests so expensive? What's the point? Why are you so expensive? So I don't know what the colors of straws are from like convenience stores. Are they red? I feel like they're red. They're like nice and red. Okay, and then we got a big Slurpee cup. Um, over here, and we're gonna color the. We gotta give it like a nice red stripe. because I feel like that would contrast really well with the general green lighting. Gives it also like a nice classic convenience store vibe to it. Yeah. If not the paparazzi, Josh hiding everyone. I'm trying to hide from everybody I see. Let's see. I remember doing crazy practice exercise by doing an art study without undoing or erasing, just painting over. Yeah, exactly. No, that is a really, really good thing to learn how to do as well. Is just like learning how to carve and shape your painting and the things you're studying instead of trying to erase and undo, but instead paint over it and try to reshape what it is that you're drawing. I think not a lot of people realize how useful that is to do. What did I say? I said the pants. I kind of wanted like a green. I don't know if that's still a good idea. We'll still go for it, and we'll see how it looks. I'm kind of like don't know if I want like a green tracksuit. You know, maybe we'll go with just like olive green. Actually, that's what I'm wearing right now. Maybe this is very true to how I look right now. I have like a big green forest hoodie on, and I have green sweats. For those of us in Canada, you probably know what kind of sweats I'm wearing. Yes, I'm super basic. I don't try to like work really hard in getting like fancy outfits or anything. But for those in Canada, you probably can guess what kind of sweats I'm wearing. The good old sweats that every Canadian person wears. If you don't know what it is, it's okay. It's a Canadian thing. Not gonna give them any shout out just because it's I feel like they're popular enough. Everybody kind of knows the brand. And then you know what? We'll base this off of me. I wear I have white Chucks. I forgot, was it you, Jaran, who like does not like Chucks, or was that somebody else? One of our mods was like, I hate Converses, but I love like was it Adidas like Sambas or Stan Smiths or Vans or something. But yeah, I'm a classic. I honestly I love the Chucks. Chucks are great. So we're gonna give my character here Chucks because that's what I wear. Also, wait, let me think. Chucks. What do they have? Oh, they have that red line that's like right on the bottom of the shoe. And then they have like that black tag, I think, on the back. Something like this. Not me. I love Converse. Oh, okay. Takes too long to lace up. I know. I love the Converse. I feel like it works so well with like it's such a just good, well-rounded shoe to wear. But yeah, it takes so long to lace up. It's too annoying to kind of get it all down. But yeah, I love them. Okay, here's our character. Okay, so now we're gonna just block in the background that I haven't had a chance to do yet. Maybe it might have been Vin then. Someone was like, or maybe it was Evie. Either it was Evie or it was Vin. Someone was just like, Converse, ew. I was like, what? I wear Converse. I like Converse. But then the funny thing was like they were like, oh, but the other shoe I like though are like another traditional basic shoe that everybody wears, like the Sambas or the Stan Smiths or something like that. It's like, okay, well, at this you can't call me out for liking Converse if you also like, you know, like Stan Smiths and or Vans or whatever. It's like it's like the same thing at this point. But it's funny. All in good fun. me see. What color did I use? I used a really nice... I like the sign color that I used. So we're just gonna track that so I don't have to try to look for it again. I'm hunting this Converse hater down for I'm gonna say that it's either Evie or Vin. It's one of those. One of them didn't were like Converse haters. But yeah, those are the sweats. The good old Beaver brand. Beaver brand for the sweats. Let's see, how did I draw this? Oh, I didn't draw it in. Okay, let me see. Yeah, we're just gonna go black frame for the cabinet. Just slowly work it down. Not trying to... I think for this one, I kind of actually want the style to be a little bit more painterly, a little bit more kind of simplified. We got a good amount of time, I think. I think we should be okay. But yeah, I want it to be a bit more simplified, nothing too over the top. I kind of want it to be like very basic in shapes, but then maybe we might play around with some colors. So that's gonna be fun. So I'm gonna show you guys, I guess this is a way that you can see how I would paint without using line works. So you can see here I'm just using kind of shapes and colors to block things out. And I'm not trying to outline everything, I'm not trying to draw everything, I'm just simply trying to mark and block off where things should be. So actually, we'll go back to the beginning, and I'm pretty sure this was one of the notes that I said. So we did the conceptualization. So I think it took me, I ended up spending about like an hour or 45 minutes working on the conceptualization, which is this part down here. And then now we're in the quick block area. Now I know that I say quick block, but quick block doesn't necessarily mean like it's done, oh, it has to be done in like 15 minutes or 10 minutes. It just means that you're not trying to spend too much time blocking in or putting in details. You're trying to look at things from a very macro lens and from a very zoomed out, far out lens. And you're not trying to be nitpicky about all the tiny details, but instead trying to look at things from the larger picture, paint with big, broad brush strokes, and kind of mark things with shapes and carving forms rather than drawing in the details. So that's why we're here. We're in the second quick block stage. And then with the extra, that's why I said with whatever extra time we have, that's where I will be putting in the details. So I would say, you know, right now we're kind of on track for the most part. Kind of keeping things very loose and light. But yeah, I'm not trying to be too picky either with how clean the brush strokes are. Still keeping them relatively straight, but if it's like off a little bit, I'm kind of okay with it. Just because it adds a little bit of kind of just quirkiness or kind of a little sense of a little bit of fun to the drawing, if that makes any sense. But I feel like sometimes when things aren't perfectly drawn or blocked in, things feel a little bit more playful. Because now the audience goes into the drawing knowing that like, oh, the drawing's not meant to be taken too seriously, and so because of that, they don't take every sense of detail too seriously either. So if you're a little bit messy or things are like slightly off, it still kind of is okay, because that's not really like the point of the drawing. It's not meant to be like pristine and clean. Yeah, okay, cool. And then we're gonna take the tiles and draw the tiles in. And we'll put in the, let's see, we'll call this the main backdrop. Main backdrop. And this is our character. And then this is our, oh, and then we're gonna put in the chip bags. So they are chip bags here. We're a little over halfway. Yeah, I feel like we're doing not too bad on time. Have a great stream. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for joining us, Prism. But glad you're able to hang out and hope you have a good day at university tomorrow. Oh, also, Jaron, I don't know if you were here when I was like talking about it, but are you into Wicked? Are you gonna go see it? Some of the viewers here were like, oh, in the beginning of the stream, was like, oh, can you draw like Wicked? And I was like, yeah, sure, we can draw Wicked. So I'm gonna go actually see it tonight. Hopefully it's good. I have not heard too much about the movie, so I don't know how well it is or how it's gonna turn out. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. And then Sage of Throne. Welcome to Wing Canvas Angels. Nice. Hey, thank you so much, Sage, for becoming a member. Welcome. Hopefully we'll be able to provide you with some sage advice on how to draw. But glad you're able to join us and also becoming a member. Thank you so much. And let's see. Oh yeah, next week. Nice. Yeah, did you like the first movie? Or like, did anybody watch the first movie? And if you guys did, what did you think of the movie? Gonna block these tiles, and then I think once we block this, we can spend, okay, so the part that I'm kind of not dreading, but I'm kind of like, okay, this is where a bulk of the time is probably gonna go into is the shelves. So I'm just gonna make sure that everything is as cleaned up as can be, and then we'll get into the drinks in the shelves. Oh yeah, I said that I was gonna make it not super centered. You know what? We're just going to... You know what? Sure, yeah, I'll move them over to the side a little bit. The lighting? Oh. Oh. You know, I'll try to pay attention to the lighting this time when I go to see it. There were moments though where, like, I think it's just the whole modern movie aesthetic these days too, where just everything feels very bright and very clean and pristine. Whereas like if you watch like Guillermo del Toro's movies, everything feels almost kind of grimy and there's like texture to it. Whereas I feel like nowadays, like modern movies, they don't, I guess you can kind of say it feels like they're scared to make things look kind of gross and ugly, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I can kind of see it. But yeah, the movie was fun. I thought it was like a fun one, fun time, kind of fun movie to watch. Let's go just what I force me to study. Shut up. Didn't watch it. I think it's I I think it's like a fun movie. I don't want to say that it's like bad or that it was like not good because it's still good, but I don't think it's if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea, I guess. It's very dramatic. Everybody's kind of quirky and a little bit like very dramatic and very like bubbly in ways where it's kind of like, oh, okay. But you know, it's not bad. It's pretty good still. Like I miss the textures in old movies. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh well, also thank you for joining us from Brazil. Glad you're able to come and say hello while we do this study here. Or not study, but like this background drawing here. Yeah, so I'm kind of just trying to give the chip bags just a bit of texture and shadows before we move on. This is not like the final attempt at the shadows, but it's just more so just like to block it in and roughly see where the lighting and shapes would be. But yeah, not trying to necessarily do a cleanup of it just yet. Okay, so I guess we can take out the initial drawing. I think I actually might also put a frame, like a quick frame, around the piece, just so that we can kind of see what the drawing looks like. No foreground color. We get like, sure, 30 something. I feel like it's not too bad of a size. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I'll keep it, but maybe we might not use it. Okay. Now for the main event, I'm gonna have the cans. Okay. Yeah, I used a bunch of colorful colors, but I feel like maybe I'll kind of use the reference as a bit of a guide on the color of the cans. Alright, I also said I was going to move the character. Let's move the character just a little bit over. So he's not too centered. Didn't want it to be too kind of like perfectly in the middle. Wanted to give it a little bit of space. Oh, you know what? Character, I guess we should see like the other Converse shoe, probably. And like maybe the other pants. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're gonna do the cans. Cans in the fridge. Oh, hey, Ren. Glad you're able to catch us live. Nice. Glad you're able to join us. Oh, cool. Doing portraits. Cool. Nice. Yeah, so just gonna kind of put in the cans like I did the other time. A lot of them are quite... Maybe we'll start off with like some nice bright cans, like here. And I noticed that a lot of them are kind of in shadow, so I'll kind of maybe deal with that and figure that out afterwards. But we're just going to kind of place them here. Place them in there for now. What you doing? Title says you're doing a background. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Doing a background. We're doing convenience store kind of background here. So I'm just kind of laying out the shapes of like the cans and kind of blocking things in. So we're not doing like a super detailed line art style of a background drawing. We're simply just putting in kind of like shapes. We're kind of going about it in a way that I like doing for backgrounds, which is to definitely not draw the details, but kind of just block in shapes for things. So I'm kind of looking at the reference image on the side that I have on my screen, and I think I'm going to kind of treat these almost a little bit like what is it, Red Bulls. So yeah, they're gonna be kind of like a Red Bull style. And let's see, oh, like cool blue here. Maybe not that dark. Maybe we'll put those in later, actually. Kind of just want to block it in. Oh, hello. Oh, Cult of the Hermits. Glad you're able to join us. But yeah, we're just doing kind of backgrounds, and right now, at the moment, I'm kind of just blocking in the shapes, blocking in like what's in the fridge, what's in the cabinet of drinks. We're going to be kind of nondescript. We're kind of just going to paint in like forms and shapes here and not necessarily go all in on like painting recognizable forms, even though I did just say like, oh, we'll do like maybe like Red Bull, but that's not going to be the goal of this per se. It's really just more like, oh, okay, how can I block in like the simple shapes of like objects and make it look like the fridge has like objects inside of it. And we're gonna be using like just different colors and shapes just so that it's kind of keeps things a little bit more colorful and lively. And usually when I'm painting backgrounds as well, I don't try to let's just say do too much of like, I don't try to draw it out, but you'll notice that like the cans, I'm not like trying to draw like, oh, here's the top part, here's the bottom, like that support rim that's at the bottom of a can. I'm not trying to do that because I feel like it's not going to be useful when you're painting or drawing. But instead, what I want to do is try to put in shapes, like I'm painting in the forms. So don't draw the shape of the can, but instead try to block it in. So for example, I'm not going to do this, like draw the shape of it, spend all this time drawing like perfectly drawn cans and then color them in, because it's like, oh, what's the point? You might as well just color the whole thing in, block it all in, and then put in any kind of details that you want afterwards. So that's kind of like the nice thing about this, is that you don't really have to worry too much about the details, but you're really more just focusing on like, where do you want to place things, the color of things, seeing if things look the way that you want it to, and then kind of moving from there. Let's see, what do I want at the bottom? Oh, there's like a nice turquoise kind of can. You can do that. And we'll kind of be a bit more playful with these shapes afterwards. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to place them in. I'm not trying to think too much about like the design or the look of these cans or these bottles, or like how clean they're kind of placed in, but instead I'm trying to just worry about like, oh, uh, how am I placing these? Where can they be placed? It's almost like it's very reminiscent of like Impressionism, and kind of like the mentality and approach to Impressionism, which is like trying not to pay attention to the trees, but instead look at things from as like the forest, you know. Don't get lost in the details. We can worry about the details afterwards. Yeah. Or putting lines on it. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that like you can always put lines around things afterwards, so you don't have to worry about like the line work and then do the colors. I actually think it's maybe more, it's easier to figure out the colors and the blobs and the shapes first, and then figure out where the line work would be. Or there's an artistic value of painting each can individually. I think if you want something, I think you can go about it both ways. You can use like a stamp style brush or a pattern brush that helps you lay down all your cans really, really quickly. I like to just manually put them all in, especially if I'm not putting in that many cans. Then I think it's kind of like okay for me to do it, in my opinion. I don't think it's too big of a deal. But the reason why I like to do it one by one is because it lets me kind of control what they look like, and make them all a little bit like unique and quirky. So it gives it almost a more hand painterly feel to them, rather than like, oh, you know, every single can looks the same. So if I were to use a stamp brush or a pattern brush, and lay them all down all at once, I might still go back in and have to like shape and carve them. So part of me is kind of like, oh, might as well just kind of do that with just manually drawing them in, instead of using a pattern brush or something of the sorts. But yeah, there's definitely nothing wrong with wanting to use a pattern brush or some kind of brush or stamp brush that will let you immediately lay it all down. You can definitely do that. See, I realized I haven't used any kind of like yellow packaging here. What would this be? What would this yellow box be? I don't know. We'll do like multiple. Maybe it's like cases of happy beverage. Happy beverage in here. You can buy cases of happy beverage. Happy beverage, yeah. Yeah. You'll still need to go back and add some variety so it doesn't look too clone. Yeah, exactly. Basically what JRN is saying. So I think that's kind of like the same rule of thumb for any kind of brush that lets you very easily map something down. So that would be like even like a hairbrush or a cloud brush or a grass or bush brush, whatever kind of brush that manually puts something in. Artists will still go in and manually kind of adjust it so that it doesn't feel too cloned, or things aren't too copy and paste. So if you kind of go in and just leave it as is, like if you use a cloud brush and you put in clouds, people will start, especially if you're trying to apply for jobs or try to use it as like a portfolio piece, people will start to pick up and notice that like, oh, these clouds all kind of feel the same, or they all kind of look similar. And so you definitely will still have to go back in and adjust some stuff. So so that's what I'm saying. Is like you still have to go back in and move some things around eventually, unfortunately. Nothing is an exact clone. Yeah, exactly. Just like real life. And I think that's why I like to hand paint or hand draw these items. Even though, yeah, I guess I could kind of make a pattern with these. But like when you paint them all in, yeah, it's a little bit tedious and you gotta put a little bit of extra time to it. But it there's something about it where like because I get to manually put it in, I get to kind of make them a little bit uneven, make them quirky, and that's part of kind of like the charm that I love in this kind of style, uh, in this kind of drawing, which is just like the quirkiness, not being too kind of caught up with the having everything be like perfect, but instead being like, oh, how can I make this a bit like more fun, a little bit more like not exactly perfect, and have a little bit of character in it. But yeah, that's kind of what I like about doing it in this way. Okay, let me see. What did I want? Oh, you know what? I think like for this kid, I do want to give it maybe like the face is a little bit blue. Maybe not that blue. But just like a little bit blue, just so that it matches like the cold lighting that's coming from the fridge and everything. All right. Yeah, I know. Can't really see his face. Actually, the original idea that I had was to have he's kind of about to mug the store. He's about to rob the store. That's kind of like the story that I wanted to initially tell with this one was just like, oh, what if he's robbing the store? How would he do it? Or like what would kind of go down? But then I'm like, oh, but I also want him to be um, drinking like a big Slurpee drink, and so I can't really have him drink a Slurpee drink while having a mask on. So had to cut that out. Okay, so slightly different from convenient or grocery stores where it's brighter inside of the kind of the cabinets. I'm actually in kind of these gas station stores. They're actually more dim inside, so I'm just gonna make it darker. And so like inside the shelves are dark, but I'm not gonna have them be as dark as like the frames itself, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of some like of a dark backdrop lighting inside of the cabinets, and then the lighting is more from like on the cans, so we'll kind of put that in afterwards. And I put this on like different layers too, so that if I do make a mistake or if I need to go back to the original color, I can still go back to it and it's not too big of a deal. Just give some like backdrop lighting to it, slight. I'm driving to connect to my PC for Christmas. What do you recommend? You have a $300 Euro budget. Uh, huh. Drawing tablet. Actually, you know what? I think drawing tablets are pretty affordable now. So, like, if you're looking for a screenless tablet, I think there's a lot of good options out there. Jaron might. I don't know if Jaron, you have any recommendations. I haven't taken a look at the tablet market in a while, because I've been kind of. If you guys have or don't know, I was kind of gifted, not gifted, but my friend sold me her tablet for like half off during COVID. So I was just like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll take it. And then afterwards, XP Pen kind of gave us a tablet. So I've been using the XP Pen tablet currently. So I haven't had to take a look at the kind of tablet market. So I don't know how much they cost now. But I don't know if anybody has any insight. Definitely, I think you can definitely go check it out. Um, see what people have in terms of recommendations. For sure, like the Wacom is like the most expensive. So I probably wouldn't, if you're tighter on a budget, I probably wouldn't recommend Wacom. XP Pen has a lot of good, affordable tablets. I don't know if it exactly will hit your 300 budget, but I don't know. I think you can take a quick gander, take a quick look, and see what they have on hand. If anything, you can always just go for a screenless tablet. It might take a little bit of getting used to, but I don't think, there's nothing wrong with using a screenless tablet. Screenless tablets still work really, really well. Also heard you're not supposed to be using a hat or hoodie in the supermarket. Yeah, definitely. Is this fridge a major source of light? Yeah. So in a sequence like this, for lighting, what I recommend, if you're trying to paint a scenery and you're trying to pay attention to lighting, don't worry about the lighting just yet, but instead block in everything as flat shapes, kind of like what I'm doing here. Obviously, like this in itself is kind of an aesthetic, but I would definitely say to kind of pay attention to the colors that you can use and what colors every object is in terms of like a flat color. So don't worry too much about the don't worry too much about like all the details, but instead kind of go in and go like, oh, what color is the frame? Oh, it's black. Okay. What color are the cans? Oh, they're orange. And just paint them flat as such that I've done kind of here. And then once you have them all blocked in, then you can start thinking about like the lighting and the coloring and the different kind of color schemes and lighting and how they would change in colors over time. Because once you know the color, it's a little bit easier to track what lighting and values you should make things. So definitely block in the base flat color first is kind of my recommendation. Don't jump in immediately and start coloring and try to shade everything in, but instead try to block out like the main colors for things. So that's why everything that you see here for the most part is flat. And now that I've blocked everything in, now I'm trying to go in and add a little bit of detail to things. And so here is kind of like a nice little trick. So now that I've blocked in all the cans and I've made the cans separate images, or a separate layer, and no rendering or shading is done on the cans themselves. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna auto lock. Let me see, I always forget what they call it. Alpha lock. Okay. I'm gonna alpha lock the can layer, and now I can go in individually and I can make the colors for them. So I can kind of pick and choose the colors that I want. And I don't have to worry about coloring outside of the can shape because all I have to do is just color. So that makes it super easy. And so this is like kind of more helpful if you're painting this like digitally. Yeah. And I'm gonna try to reserve white for very specific things. So I'm not gonna have white on every object or element, but instead I'm gonna reserve it for like the lights, anything that's supposed to catch light on it. That's what I'll reserve kind of lighting for, like the white lights for. And I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna paint them in like this. And zoomed in, they're not gonna look anything special because you're gonna be like, Josh, these cans don't look really anything fancy. But if I zoom out, it starts kind of creating like a texture, kind of comes in like a pattern, and you'll start being like, oh, you know what, there's something kind of neat here. There's something kind of like interesting with the texture and the pattern that seeing it all lined up makes. How it like all lined up makes. Totally forgot that you guys can see it on the overview. So yeah, if you take a look at the overview, like when I'm zoomed in like this, it doesn't look like anything special. But if I like start painting them and I start kind of putting them all together, it's like, oh, you know, there's something kind of neat about the shapes here. Kind of creates like visual noise and a pattern. And like each can that I'm gonna do, we're gonna do it a little bit differently. Not every can, but like each of the packages, we're gonna do them a little bit differently so that it has a bit of color variation to it. So I'm not trying to focus too much on like rendering or blending. And actually this is something I go over a lot with like our students as well, which is just that a lot of times lighting doesn't even come down to the blending part. It's about knowing where to put values and where to kind of show that contrast. So if you know where you want like the lighting and where the shadows to be, is your lighting flat? So if it's flat, there's nothing wrong with actually flat lighting. What it'll do is like flat lighting makes things kind of cold and a little bit stale, but that's not a bad thing if that's the tone that you want for your scenario. So if your scenario, you want something to be very flat and kind of rigid, then guess what? That's totally okay to do. It makes your drawing kind of get that tone and sense of scale to it, or sense of a feel in your drawings. So we're just gonna paint these random shapes in here. Again, it's all just texturing. It's all just kind of noise that I want to put in here. And I'm kind of thinking of these as more like cartons. So these ones will not get a shine to it, but just put kind of like just patterns, just rough kind of shapes on it. And I'm about to drop one free month of our Patreon for 3 people. Oh, look at that. Wow. Jaron, so nice. Look at that. Jaron is gifting you guys some free goodies right here. Yeah, not only that, we just I actually just uploaded also like a new video, a class recording from Iggy's. Actually also aptly kind of it wasn't intended or anything, but it's also background related as well. So if you want to check out how Iggy does backgrounds, it's a little bit different from how I do backgrounds. It's also a bit different from how Jesse does backgrounds. So if you want to check out how each of us, or you're kind of curious as like, oh, well, how does Josh's approach to backgrounds differ from Iggy's, then I highly recommend that you like check that video out. So if you're part of our Patreon, I think you should be you'll get access to it. Nice. Okay, so these ones are cans. So again, I'm gonna reserve that shine just for the cans, and I think, let me take a look. From the photos, it looks like the sheen on the cans are kind of consistent. So I'm gonna keep them all kind of like here on the right hand side, just to make it easier to kind of spot. So again, this is why I think a stamp brush would take away from the almost like playful nature that you can see if you do this by hand. Is like these kind of like really impromptu markings. Like you can't really copy that whimsy that you'd see in here. Again, but I will say, like, this is more like if you want this style. So if this is not really your style, then you can definitely kind of quote unquote argue and say that, like, oh well, that's not the vibe I want, that's not the kind of direction I want for my drawing. Then if you want it to be much cleaner, then yeah, I think a stamp brush would definitely help for that. But if you want something to be a little bit more kind of, let's say, more kind of playful and a little bit diverse in terms of like the drawings, then I would say like having like unique, interesting shapes across all your objects can be kind of like neat. Would make it more interesting. Gonna have these cans be kind of like dark green. How much time? Oh, dang. Okay, we have like not too much time. I'm gonna try to cover up all the cans as best as I can. Yeah, haha, as best as I can. And then we'll kind of end it off here. So it's not too much about lighting, but more just like designing a background and kind of giving some interesting kind of a look to things. Let's go with, I don't know, let's go with a square. And I think as long as you maintain that consistency, like if, for example, right now I'm basically, everything is reliant on shapes in order to give that sense of kind of like a rendering. Like I'm not rendering things really clean. I'm not using like outlines for the drawing. I'm simply just kind of like marking like the shapes of the objects and with really quick highlights and such. But if I all of a sudden went in and started outlining things, adding details and renderings that didn't really quite work in the beginning, that's when you kind of start breaking the illusion. Because the moment you break that agreement with the viewer and you're like, oh, actually I do want to clean it up, the viewer is then going to start demanding or expecting there to be really, really clean line work. Now, this isn't always the case, but just kind of keep in mind that if you do decide to quote unquote change the rules, you have to make sure that it's consistent. Yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying it. I know that we're kind of coming close to the end of our stream, but if you guys have any final kind of questions, do let me know and I will try my best to answer it. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned a little bit more on how you can start a background. Obviously, like depending on the style, depending on how in-depth and detailed you want a background to be, this could go on and on and on forever, as long as you want it to go. But I think hopefully what I can do for you guys here is break down the mysticism of painting backgrounds. They're not as kind of scary as it is. Obviously, it's still going to be quite a task, but it's not as intimidating than I think maybe some of you guys are expecting it to be. And then let's see, we'll just make this kind of like a brown flower bag style. How you create your own blending brush? That is going to be different from software to software. So if you want a blending brush for Krita, all you have to do is go to the brush settings up here, and you will find like a bunch of different options here that you can play around with. And I think, oh, they changed it. Oh, okay. So let me see this. So you can kind of, you'll have to kind of just take a look at it, but the Krita, what it does, it kind of breaks it down into how it works. The first one has to do more with like the brush tip itself, but you can see here there's like blending modes, so you can definitely play around with like the different effects that it has. I would say that most softwares come with a pretty decent kind of default setting for brushes actually, so you might not even have to make your own blending brush, but just take a look and keep an eye out for the different brushes that your software might have, and you might find one that totally fits the direction or the style or purpose that you need it to have. So I would say like don't jump too quickly into wanting to make your own brush just yet, but instead try to keep an eye out for like, oh, are there any existing brushes that fulfill the need that I need for my brush? And then if you do find one, then but it like works kind of close to what you want, then great, stick with that brush. But you're like, oh, some things are like just a little bit off, then what I recommend is to adjust it yourself. So if you find that like you have a brush that is very, very close to what you want it to do, don't discard it or go like, oh man, Krita didn't have the exact brush that I wanted. Man, it was so close. It had one that was very close. Well, don't discard it and don't go like, oh well, now I can never find the perfect brush. No, usually the perfect brush is never really there, but instead what I would recommend is you just have to kind of find a brush that's close to what you want and then make the adjustments yourself in the settings. So go find the brush that you had that was really close to what you want and adjust yourself afterwards. But that's what I recommend. But if you really, really want to make your brush, obviously, then yeah, go and make your brush. But you don't have to make your own brush, because it could definitely be very time consuming to make your own brush. So I don't exactly recommend it unless you're really, really into making your own brush. But making your brush can be very time consuming, very taxing. That's why. Okay, let me see. Is this a live critique of a viewer's work? Nope. This is just mine that I've been kind of working on since stream started. Just kind of approaching it in a different style than I'm kind of used to doing. So a more kind of flat graphic approach. Whoops, that's not a can. Than the usual style. But yeah, I'm just kind of showing viewers how I would typically approach a background if I were to do kind of like a big, or not a big, but like kind of like a scenery kind of style. We'll do the same kind of box, but maybe this one's a little bit brighter. I don't know, just to give it a little bit of playfulness to it. Oh, cool. Well, glad you're able to catch us, Risa. Glad you're able to join us. Yeah, we're just kind of experimenting around and making a background kind of in a convenience store style. So if you didn't know, that we kind of asked the viewers ahead of time, like, oh, what kind of environment would you like me to paint, and the viewers voted for a convenience store. So yeah, we're doing a convenience store kind of painting right now. Something more on the flatter style, nothing too intense or crazy, but just enough to give it a sense of space and lighting, and kind of also maybe approach it slightly differently. So I think a lot of people kind of go into background paintings thinking like everything's got to be like blended and perfectly clean, but I kind of wanted to show a more stylized texture approach to painting, which I think is like really, really cool. I always love this style where it's not exactly too pristine, but there's a little bit of kind of just like playfulness in like the rendering and everything. Okay, so I'm gonna just paint in the tiles a little bit, because these tiles that are closer to the fridge are going to be lightly darker. I think I can still add maybe a bit of like sheen to it. And then these ones, we will make them, yeah, we can make it a little bit lighter. And then these ones, definitely we can make them kind of darker up close, quote unquote darker up close. All right. Is it okay to use line art for drawing backgrounds, or will it look too distracting from the character? That is completely up to you. So that's why I don't want to kind of put it like a hard kind of statement and be like, oh, you can never use line work and when doing a background. But sometimes by using like lighting, or by using line work, not that it can get distracting, but it has to be just consistent throughout the whole piece. So if you use line work in the environment, then the way you use line work in the character and in the background should also make a little bit of sense, or else it'll feel a bit jarring on how it's being implemented. Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna use like maybe a different brush. Actually, I'm gonna try this brush. Oh, we're like pretty much over. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this session. Maybe that's a bit too bright. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this session. I know that I enjoyed kind of doing these kind of backgrounds with you guys. This is definitely very different from how I usually, or like what I usually draw for stream and for these sessions as well, but it was a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you guys learned a little bit. I'm just gonna stay on just a little bit longer to clean up maybe like the guy and add a little bit more details to things, but other than that, this is kind of it. And as always, I'll be uploading these images and pieces onto stream afterwards. So if you're like, oh, you know, I want to take a closer look at the drawing, or take a closer look at the notes, where can I find them? You can always find them on Discord afterwards, the full notes. We also do upload the drawings and images afterwards onto like Instagram and our social media as well. But Instagram and Discord is kind of like the go-to places that we tend to upload for the most part. So if you want to check those out, we will be posting it there. Let me see if I can make this just like a little bit darker. Maybe a little bit darker, at least at the top areas. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this, if you enjoyed this stream, definitely drop a like. It helps the video a lot, and definitely subscribe so you know when we stream the next time. And also, bring that notification bell so you know when we're about to stream, when the next stream is going to happen, and also who is streaming, because we always rotate from week to week and from day to day, so it's never always the same. We're always switching topics up, and also you get to know what you can vote for. So as you guys know, before the stream started 2 days ago on the weekend, I put out a poll asking viewers like, oh hey, what is it that you want me to illustrate, and like in terms of like subject matter. And so a lot of viewers voted for the convenience store, and so that's why we're doing the convenience store today. But let's see. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna maybe like blur out the chip bag just a little bit more. Maybe we can desaturate it a bit. So these chip bags, they're not really the focal point, so that's why I'm kind of like trying to give it a little bit of a fade out. So what I'm doing is like I'm trying to give it like a light blue kind of gray wash over it so that it's not too stand out, and it kind of feels almost like our vision is blurring in terms of like how we're seeing it. So I'm not trying to make it super clean, but just like enough where you can kind of tell that it's something, but it's not quite easy to tell like what it is, but it's still kind of there. You know that it's kind of standing out, but not too much. Yeah, so it's kind of similar approach actually to the fridge and the chip bags, but instead of kind of painting it with a huge amount of detail, it's more just kind of there. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so Gia will be posting it on Discord, Instagram, and YouTube community. So yeah, definitely keep your eyes out and peeled. You know what? I kind of want to make like a fake background, fake kind of text. So let's kind of just write some gobbledygook, some jibber jabber. Okay, I'm just gonna write pine. It's not really any kind of reference to anything, but I'm just like, you know, pine. I feel like that's kind of a cool text to kind of put in here, maybe. I don't know. Okay, to be fair, my idea was like pine sol. I don't know why. That has nothing to do with any drinks of any sort, but I was like, pine sol. Yeah, that's the direction I want to head into for a drink. Pine sol. Yeah. Kind of good old like sports drink logo style here. Doesn't make any sense at all. No idea. I see you don't go crazy with the shoes today, John. That's true. I did not go all the way over the top with the shoes. That's a good point. I think it's just because the focus is more on background, so I'm not trying to go too over the top with the shoes today. Unfortunately, I did not get my chance to go all out with the shoes. Then let's just add bits of shine here and there on the, maybe not that much. Yeah, unfortunately, no crazy shoe design today. Just good old Converse. I'm just gonna add a little bit of shine to the puffer jacket. Go, and then we'll darken the hoodie just a bit so that there's a little bit of like, so it looks more like he's standing right by the fridge, which is casting a light on on his hoodie. Maybe that's a little bit too dark. Also I'm using kind of like yellow lighting for the hoodie, just so that it has a nice pop of color and has a bit of contrast to it, but not too much. But yeah, let's see. If Josh ever started an energy drink business, you know it'll be called Pine Sol. I don't know if people are gonna drink if it's called Pine Sol. I think people will be like, ew, that's a little suspicious there, Josh. Why would you name a drink Pine Sol? But yeah, keep your eyes out, keep it peeled for my infamous drink, the Pine Sol drink. Alright, put a little bit of lighting on it. Let's go crazy with a little bit of an outline, just so that kind of stands out a little. You can kind of see it a little bit. And then we'll just darken the hands just a bit. So if you guys forgot, he's actually supposed to be holding a phone. Maybe we'll make it like darker, and then we'll give it like a phone, like a slight glow. Very, 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 very subtle. No, not gonna do that. I think that's good enough, probably. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. Let me see. Oh, this is the text. Put another one over here so it doesn't look too like out of the blue. There we go. And then let's see, main backdrop. Let's see, what is this? Oh, those are the lines. Okay. Okay, in front of here, I'm actually gonna put a blue kind of blue fill. Well, I'm gonna try it out. If it doesn't work, I might have to kind of just play around with it on my own time. And oh, actually. Nope, don't want that. Let's go overlay. Sure. There we go. And then so it kind of changes the colors a little bit, but I don't want it to. I want it to kind of feel like it's changing it a little bit. So it's like very cool, kind of exaggerates it a little bit. So yeah, the whole point or goal of this is not to make it feel like, oh, I don't want it to feel like, oh, actually, wait, let me say it again. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make it feel like the light is blasting and it's kind of overpowering the glass and all the objects that are there. So when you do this, that's why you still need the base color that's there. So if you don't have the base color there and you kind of just blast it, it kind of looks a bit odd. But if I have a full color there and I have this effect kind of take hold, it makes it feel more like it's affecting the colors underneath. So like the orange cases, the colors that are there, like it's being affected by the effect. And then I think I can just like erase a little bit of that effect on the cans and on the objects so that it feels like it's behind glass and that we're seeing the real color of it like still peek through a little bit. So it has almost that like frosted tinted glass look to it, but something's like clearly affecting the way things look. So I just used an overlay effect on the window of the the objects here so that it kind of gives it a little bit of like a frosted glass effect. And then we're actually missing one last thing, and then we're done, and that is the shadow. So our guy here has to have a little bit of a cast shadow, not too much, but just enough to cast shadow. So it kind of cements it a little bit. And we got to make it also the same color for maybe not that dark, but it's got to be the same color as the kind of tiles. So don't just do a random shadow there, but like have it match the shadow of the the tiles. And yeah, I think there we go. Got a very quick kind of convenience store painting approach here. I actually might kind of darken these just a little bit. So yeah, we're a little bit over time, but I think that'll be that's okay. Because kind of wanna, I think we're like I'm like really close to kind of getting these the way I want it to look. I kind of want to make it almost look like it's someone peering over and looking at this guy while he's trying to, I don't know, he's shopping or something. So it gives it almost that kind of like peeking or looking through the eye hole kind of look and aesthetic to it. So hopefully it makes it a little bit eerie, makes it a little bit more kind of like, oh, what are we looking at kind of thing. But yeah, there we go. The 15 minutes over. Okay, yeah, no problem. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of it. Yeah, I don't think I need to remove it. But here, we can zoom in a little bit more so you can see how it looks from the larger view versus the close-up view. But yeah, that's kind of it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's stream. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's definitely a fun one to do, something a little bit different from the usual pieces that I do for a stream, but it's still a lot of fun to do this. And I think this turned out not too bad. Pretty cool, pretty nice. I like the vibe and the colors that came out from here. So I guess maybe like a quick overview on like how this started off. Started off like this first, and not only that, but it started off really more like this, and then we put in the rough colors in, and then afterwards changed it into this to kind of put in the extra details and that cooler lighting system there. So yeah, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this piece. I feel like it's one of those where you gotta look at it from a distance, or like you gotta kind of look at it for the textures and the patterns, not so much for the details. But yeah, so again, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and just gonna finish off with our closing statements. So hello everybody, and This is kind of the end of the stream, but my name is Josh, and I'm one of the hosts and also teachers over at Wing Canvas. And if you don't know who we are over at Wing Canvas, our mission is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So join us for free live stream lessons on YouTube every week and level up your skills with our community of art nerds. And we stream Saturday at 3 p.m. and Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern. And we're more than just a YouTube channel, we're an online school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping artists turn their passion into income. And a huge shout out to our amazing students and members for supporting our mission. We love seeing your incredible artwork and watching you grow in our classes and our weekly critiques. And if you want to dive deeper, join our Discord to access stream notes, demos, and exclusive artwork, our challenges, and more free resources to help you improve. So come connect with our fellow art nerds and get inspired. And yes, also if you're part of our YouTube and Patreon membership or school membership, you get exclusive perks such as class recordings and working files as well. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the stream, definitely drop a like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot, and also ring that notification bell so you know the next time that we go live and we stream. And speaking of when we go live next, the next stream is on the 29th. So on Saturday 29th, Jessie is going to be going live, and she is going to tell a story in a single illustration, Visual Storytelling 101. Ooh, so if you kind of want to kind of see how to approach storytelling in the Jessie way, that's going to be a good one to tune in for. And yeah, that's kind of it. Hope you guys enjoyed this piece and enjoyed this live stream and learned lots. And again, I'll be posting the notes over on Discord afterwards and this image as well. So hope you guys have a good rest of the Monday, good rest of the week, and a good weekend. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.